Okay, new video. This video is gonna be on why I'm no longer vegan after 5 years of veganism. I have no proof to show you this, but I was a diehard vegan for 5 years straight, never cheated, never nothing. I mean, there's a few things where like I would eat that I didn't realize had milk in it or something, so I would just either stop eating it, or I was never a vegan that would like freak out about that stuff because I mean, why would I freak out about that? But yeah, this is gonna just be a video explaining my journey a little bit and like why I'm no longer vegan and why I feel like it kind of possibly destroyed my health a little bit, or my relationship with food. I don't even know if like I kind of low-key developed an eating disorder. I'm not sure, but it definitely changed my relationship with food. I'll say that, for the good and for the bad. Like, I feel like I learned a lot. There's pros and cons to it. I'm gonna get into that. But basically, 5 years ago, 2019, May 25th of 2019, I wrote that down. Like the day I went vegan, I wrote it down. I went vegan. Now, I never thought I would be vegan. I didn't even know I would fall into that lifestyle. I have no fucking clue how that happened. It just kind of fucking happened. And yeah, I did it for 5 fucking years somehow. And I was very strict about it, and I didn't think it was strict. I would always tell people, no, it's not strict. I can eat any vegetable in the world that I want. I can eat anything that I want. I choose this lifestyle, which was true, but I think the philosophy behind it can be a bit strict and can lead to different weird eating habits. Growing up, I had the normal American diet. I ate burgers, french fries, random foods. I also grew up in a Caribbean household. I'm second generation. My grandparents on both my parents' sides are from Jamaica, except my mom's mom, my grandmother, she is from Guyana. But the other, like my dad's parents and my mom's dad, are all from Jamaica. So I am of Jamaican descent, but I am American. So it was either I was eating the standard American diet. My mom, since she was a single mom, busy working woman, she didn't really cook like growing up. Like, she didn't cook. I just ate like a lot of frozen foods, didn't really think that much about food. I ate a lot of chicken and rice. We would eat Jamaican, like I grew up in South Florida, so I would eat a lot of like different cultural foods, like but we would just eat out somewhere. Like we'd pick up like La Granja or whatever, like we'd pick up like Peruvian food, Cuba, like whatever is around, which is everything. You can get everything in South Florida because so many different cultures and walks of life come here. So, but most of the time I was eating like Tyson chicken nuggets and kids cuisines and like ham and cheese sandwiches with no sauce. Like I would just eat that bitch dry. Like that's like for lunch. I would bring only that for lunch. I don't know. I didn't know anything about cooking is my whole point growing up. I knew nothing about that. The only closest thing I got to that was when I was with my grandmother. Grew up, born, raised in Jamaica, had a garden in her backyard, would eat fresh fish, eat fresh vegetables straight from the garden, like all that, like straight from the yard. Is I'm Jamaican, but please, I swear, all my Jamaican fellow people, do not make fun of me because I'm a Yank, okay? Please don't come in up on my channel and do that. Like, yes, I know I'm a Yank, but I know about my culture, okay? I know about my culture. I'm just a Yank a little bit, and like I've been around way too many white folk and other things like that. I've been around way too many other like influences to where I'm just super American now, okay? And my accent, when I try to like turn it on, is not there. I used to be better at it, but I'm too far removed now. It's too far gone. Like, unless I'm hanging around my grandmother, I'm not gonna be able to talk like that, okay? There's nobody around. My mom does not talk like that. She talks like, I don't know, she just talk how she talk, I guess, but she don't talk like that. But I know my culture, I know the music, I know the food, I know all that. Try me, quiz me, don't quiz me. I don't need to prove nothing to you. By the time I hit college, that was like the first time I ever had to think about food and buying food for myself and like, you know, living on your own. Going into college, I basically turned pescatarian after my first year because I was learning about health. I was learning how to like work out, and I was learning how to like just take care of myself because I was on my own for the first time. I grew up playing volleyball all throughout high school, and I was very fit. I was a little thicker, like I was skinny, but then I got like a little thick from volleyball because I was just eating everything. Like I would go to practice and then eat some flaming hot Cheetos and like some candy and stuff with some chicken wings. Like that was my diet. And then by the time I got to college, I don't know, I was eating like the cafeteria food, I think. and like fast food. Like I wasn't cooking for myself. I was living in a dorm my first year. I forgot to mention that. I was living in a dorm, and yeah, there was like a little kitchen, but like I was not at that level to like be going in that kitchen and trying to make, like, no, like there was, no, I wasn't doing that. I was just either going to the mess hall or I was buying food. Mess hall, why did I just say mess hall? Like, what is this, camp? I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of like how I grew up. But by the time I went pescatarian, literally my pescatarian diet was eating at this one place every single day that was on campus. It was an on-campus restaurant, and I don't know what, it was like a Asian style stir fry kind of thing, and I would just get like shrimp or fish and rice and vegetables, and I would just eat that every day. And I would eat like I was just like on like a certain regimen. I was like, okay, I'll eat this much every day, and I just will make sure it doesn't have meat, like, and I just did that. I cut meat out, right? And then randomly I had met this girl who lived like 7 houses down. That's a long story too. We're no longer friends, but she was vegan. I met her in the weirdest way, but basically we're at this restaurant. This was like the first day I met her because a mutual friend of ours like basically had us meet up at Dave & Buster's, and like I think before or after we went and got food, and we went to this like wing place, and she only had ordered fries, and we were ordering wings, and we're like, oh, why are you only getting fries? And she was like, oh, I'm vegan. And I literally told her, like, because she would always bring this up to me. She's like, I will never forget when you were like, I could never be vegan. Mind you, this was before I even found out she lived 7 houses down from me. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I met her randomly at a Dave & Buster's from a mutual friend, and then like on the way back home when we were all like dispersing and like getting dropped off because we had carpooled there from like another like parking lot, and we were like getting back to our cars, we had passed our house, and I was like, oh, I live on the street. And she was like, oh, that's funny, I live on the street too. And she was like, what street do you live on? And I was like, X, Y, and Z. And she was like, that's weird, I live on that street. And I was like, no way. They're like, and like basically we found out we lived on the same street that day. But I was already in college. No, this was the summer before going into college. So after I found that out about her, I was shy, so I didn't really like go hang out with her or anything. I think I found that out, and like we had exchanged contact numbers, and that was that. We didn't talk for like, I don't know, another few months. And then I think summer came around the next following year, like after I was pescatarian for a while, because like I said, freshman year of college, I went pescatarian, and I was working out and I was doing all that stuff on my own. I get back home and I'm still pescatarian, and it's the summer, I'm alone, I'm by myself, I'm bored. I was always kind of to myself. I never had that like a million friends or anything like that. So I think it was summertime and I was bored, and I was like, you know what, there's a friend, I know that girl lives like 7 houses down from me, like maybe I should like, maybe I should like just hit her up and see what happens. And so I hit her up, and I'm like, hey, like, do you want to hang out, blah blah blah. Next thing you know, we ended up hanging out, and ever since that day, that whole entire summer, every single day I would be with that girl, and we were so close. She was so cool. Like, honestly, I'm kind of sad that friendship ended, but I know things happen the way it happened. Like, honestly, like if it were up to, like, the way it ended, there was like, the way it was handled, there was no way. Like, she literally blocked me. That girl blocked me. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that, but it was just so sad because I thought like she was really cool, but I think she just had her own issues. Like, she was very like spiteful, or like I don't know, like there was nothing that I really felt like occurred to where we needed to end our friendship. But it ended. It was really out of my control at that point, and that was that. But yeah, like after I started hanging out with her more, you know, I'm like eating the vegan foods, or we're going out and I'm like making sure it's like a vegan place where she can eat. And next thing you know, like we start talking about it. Mind you, she was very witchy. She was really into spiritualism. Like, she literally told me, she was like, oh yeah, I'm a witch. And like, I don't know if like she thought that was like, I don't know what she thought, if she was trying to scare me off or what. Like, I think like she just like randomly said it to me, and she said it just like that. She's like, yeah, I'm a witch, and yeah, I like to do spells and blah 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 blah. And mind you, she was like another black girl like me, like very ambiguous island gal, is also like grew up with island families. Her family was from Dominica, so we resonated in a lot of different ways. And like she'd be like, this is back when I didn't have as much self-esteem, even though I was always a beautiful girl. I just don't think I realized my worth. But she'd be like, yeah, we're bad bitches, like we need to go here, we need to do this. And at the time too, I was making music. That's another story. I still want to make music, but yeah, I was making music at the time. I used to record. She ended up telling me that she wanted to make music, and I was like, oh cool, yeah, I can help you. Oh, it's funny, I have this shirt on. But yeah, like our friendship was like that, and we fell out. I don't know, we fell out for something dumb. I really felt like she was trying, there was a lot of times where she would like kind of be using me, and I think it was just at a point where I didn't want her to use me anymore, and then she kind of just cut me off. I don't know. Honestly, again, it's a long story. I keep saying it's a long story and I keep halfway getting into it. I need to stop. I don't know if I'm gonna cut this out or not, but whatever. But yeah, basically she taught me like a few vegan things. She kind of indoctrinated me, I'm not gonna lie. She showed me all of the vegan videos of like all the animals dying, forks over knives, cowspiracy, all that shit. I started like taking it in, learning like I was learning about how like these people on diabetes or people with chronic illnesses were eating a vegan diet and basically getting healed overnight, and like they're healthy, and it's like I'm thinking it's the healthiest way to live. They're saying you lose hella weight doing it, and not hella weight, but like you slim down, you're healthy, you're trim, you feel good, you have all this energy. And honestly, because I was going down that path anyway and learning more about nutrition, and I started gaining a passion via pescatarianism and working out and all that stuff, I got into it. And I was just I'm a very open-minded person, so I really just feel like it was a moment of me being open-minded and like thinking about it and just seeing the way her lifestyle was. She would make these pretty colorful food plates, and I still do those things. Like I still eat vegetables. Like I'm not vegan anymore, but I still love like enjoy the foods you're eating and then it's actually good for you or whatever. But there's a paradigm to that. I believe that you can be vegan for a period of time, for a week, for a day, for a month, for a year, but actually maybe not a year. Like I think you can do it for months at a time, maybe like 3 months. I don't know, but I don't think long-term veganism all the time, or like you could eat mainly a plant-based diet, but I do feel like there are some animal products that you need in your diet to sustain yourself. And I'm saying that as somebody who tried to do veganism the right way. Like I don't know if vegans are gonna find this video and like try to shit on me all you want, bitch. I don't give a fuck. Like I respect veganism and everything that it stands for, but I don't think I was necessarily fully doing it for the animals. I think I was really interested in the health and the environmental reasons. But then as you do veganism, you kind of like get more into it. If you're like an open vegan, you're constantly doing research, you're constantly figuring out how to make sure you're getting the proper nutrients you need on a diet, because I was doing that. And I learned that well, it's not as good for the environment as you think it is, because there's a lot of monocropping going on and animals get killed in the process, so you're not even really doing anything. I really feel like it's more about like sustainability, where you're sourcing your animals, and just very stressed out animals that you're eating and consuming in your body. Like that I don't think is good, and I'm still kind of weird about eating certain meats, or just eating meats that I don't really know where they're sourced from. But I'm also trying to be a little open about my views on food, because if I plan to travel the world, like where do you think I'm gonna go to Japan and not try the fucking whatever kind of meat they got? Like, and I don't know where it's sourced, but I feel like I'm not gonna stop myself from living my life, and that's another reason why I'm no longer vegan, because there's so many social situations I was in where I was singled out, or I only had to eat fries because of the restaurant we're at, or I'm the difficult person because I'm vegan, and now we have to figure out where we're gonna go. Like I was literally in New York last year, the first time in New York, selling my clothes for the first time with these group of creative ass people, and we went to this Asian place that like had a vegan option. I don't know, it's just so crazy. I was in fucking New York and I was trying to find vegan places. You know how hard that was? You know how hard it was to try to find some vegan food? There was a lot of times where I just didn't eat, and that's not good. Or I'm eating fries. Like, okay, yeah, you're vegan, but is fries really gonna sustain you? A lot of it doesn't. It makes you puffy and bloated, and it doesn't make you feel good if you're always like having to rely on fries anytime you want to go out somewhere to eat. Like that shit got old real fast. It got really, really old. And I commend all the vegans, and I respect all the vegans who are still really doing it for the animals and doing it for all their passions. And I think you should do it for as long as you want to. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it, and I respect it. But I just realized I can't do it anymore. But that shit took me a long time to get over. I think I've been thinking about not being vegan for like a whole year now. Like I remember 8 months ago, I was at this fish restaurant with my friend. Like we were on the beach, and she got hungry randomly, and she's like, oh, there's this food place right here. She also eats very plant-based, but she still allows herself to eat like fish and like eggs every once in a while. She doesn't have it every day, or she's not like, or I don't know what she eats every day, but like she told me she's not like eating it all the time, but she eats it enough to like sustain herself, which makes sense. I didn't even look at it like that. But mind you, my best friend, this is the same best friend I've had since 9th grade. Back then, neither one of us were vegan, and by the time we reunited after I moved back home from college, we were on like the same like eating lifestyle, which was so interesting and cool to me. But yeah, she just had a way more balanced, healthier approach, in my opinion. Now that I think about it, I was like, I didn't even think that I could do it that way. But yeah, I was just very indoctrinated. I felt like I basically looked at meat as something bad for you. Like, I basically brainwashed myself. I completely brainwashed myself. So yeah, I was just listening to all the vegan propaganda online, and I feel like I just really got in deep to a point where I was literally looking at meat and I was having a fucking conniption in my brain. Like, I couldn't even do it. Like I literally asked her for a bite of her fish. That was my point. We went to that place 8 months ago, and she ordered some like fish and chips, and I was like, oh hey, can I actually have a piece of your fish? I think, because I was telling her that I was thinking about eating fish again in eggs. And this was like 8 months ago. And literally she gave me a piece of her fish, and I was literally just gonna eat it, but I literally could not eat it. Like, I was so fucked up in the head. Like, I could not eat that fish. Like, that's what I mean when I say like veganism like destroyed my relationship with food. Like, I don't think you should look at foods that black and white, like good and bad. Like, meat is sustenance. Okay, one thing about that veganism, the argument they make and the reason why I thought it was okay to get rid of a meat source base, it was like protein. They say there's protein in vegetables, there's protein in grains. That's true, but on a vegan diet, like when I wasn't thinking about it, when I wasn't trying, I was getting anywhere from like 30 to 60 grams of protein a day. That's really low. I don't know how to explain it, but that's really fucking low. Now I try to eat like my ideal weight in like of pounds in grams of protein. For example, like I want 120 to 125 pounds of muscle on my body, so I should be eating 120 to 125 plus grams of protein to make sure that I'm fueling the muscles in my body, right? But if you're getting like 50, you're not. And then on top of that, protein is a basic building block for all the cells in your body. I don't know, something about it just doesn't seem like that's adequate. And I was doing the protein powders, I was doing the vegan meats, but the thing is, I think I got super reliant on soy. Now, I wasn't necessarily a junk food vegan. I ate whole food plant-based for the most part, but I did enjoy vegan ice creams. I did enjoy a lot of like vegan meats before I realized like the harm in them. Mind you, those things are fucking shit for you. I don't think those are really the best. They taste fine, they're good, it's a way to get protein, but I don't like. The more I learned in my health journey, the more I realized processed foods are not good for you. And I always knew that the vegan meats were a part of that processed food that you should not be eating, with all those seed oils. I mean, not shouldn't be eating, I still eat them, but like you shouldn't be eating any kind of processed food to an excess like that. I mean, you can survive on that diet, but will you be happy, healthy, and thriving? No. And the type of person I am, I want to be happy, healthy, and thriving. But I was getting a lot of symptoms too from veganism. I could talk here all day about this. This might have to be a part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. Yeah, so I learned veganism from that one friend, and then we fell out, but I ended up continuing my vegan journey all throughout college. Literally all throughout my college career, I was vegan. But I relied on a lot of vegan restaurants, beans and rice, stir fries, a lot of Asian style dishes, a lot of like rice and vegetables pretty much, or potatoes and vegetables, or like beans and rice and potatoes and vegetables and avocado, like. And I still eat a lot of that stuff today. Like, I still eat like that, but I just brought more things back in my diet, and I will talk about that as well. The first year I was into it, I dropped weight like crazy. Didn't even mean to, wasn't even trying to on purpose, but obviously if you take all the bad crap out of your typical American diet and start eating in a plant-based way, you're gonna lose weight. That makes sense. And you're also taking out a huge protein source. So I lost hella weight. Again, wasn't trying to necessarily do that, but I wasn't mad about it either when it happened. I was like, okay, cool, like I'm so cute and skinty, like right. And yeah, so that happened. But then as I went in like year 2, year 3, I stabilized and I kind of went back to like my normal weight before, which was, I was never big, I was like in shape but like I went back, but I noticed I had less muscle mass, and I realized like I was holding more water weight. Didn't think much of it. The more I got into it, the more you just realize things about the diet. And I noticed I was always hungry. I never felt sustained after eating a meal. I would think about what my next meal would be like right after eating a meal. And like you when you're on the vegan diet, you get all that fiber, so you think it's good, like you're getting the physical sensation that you're full, like your stomach is literally distended, like you're full, but you're not satiated, if that makes sense. And I was doing the whole foods, making sure I had the proteins, which is the beans or the soy or the tofu, and I would have my healthy fats. I would always have like some avocado, some whatever, and then I would have like nuts, whatever. I would find a healthy fat to add in there. and then I would always have my grains, right? As I went on, like the more muscle mass I lost, the more I wasn't eating protein, the harder it would get to feel satisfied, and the more I felt like it was fucking up my relationship with food. And then also being into veganism, like not too long into it, I started getting bloating symptoms. Like I was always fucking bloated, and I was always looking up online like, oh, is it normal to be bloated on a vegan diet? I even remember asking my vegan friend, and she's like, oh yeah, that's normal, but once your body gets used to the fiber, like the bloating will go away. Like I had to deal with that, but then like it eventually went away. Looking back, that shit never went away. I was literally like depending on whatever food I ate that I guess my body didn't like, and I never did the elimination diet thing or nothing. Like I never tried to figure it out because like that's just too much to think about. Like I just wanted to eat what I wanted to eat. So like if I end up being bloated, I would just look down and be like, oh shit, I'm bloated because I just had, and mind you, I wouldn't even eat that much, but I would just be fucking bloated from all the fiber. Like it was crazy. And another thing too, I ended up finding out that that vegan friend that I had that went vegan, she had an eating disorder. She had an eating disorder before she was vegan. She told me how she had a point in her life where she was anorexic, blah blah blah. And but by the time I met her, she was no longer anorexic. She actually looked like she had a good amount of weight on her. Like she wasn't like unhealthily underweight or overweight or anything. So I would remember there's times we'd be on FaceTime calls and she would be talking to me about how she wanted to fast and how she was planning her next 2-day fast, 3-day fast, and like I would just support her with it. I don't know, I didn't really think about it that hard. I was like, okay, yeah girl, like you'll fast, because like I knew about the fasting benefits, and I don't think there's anything wrong with fasting, but I do think she was looking at it from an unhealthy perspective, because I know like she just felt like, now that I've been vegan for like, when I met her, she was damn near 4 years into her vegan journey. I am now reaching my 5th year, so I'm now understanding all the things she was doing back then. Now like it's all clicking to me, like her patterns and behaviors of how she thought about food, and how like all of it makes sense to me now. She definitely had issues with food, and like I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of online vegans that I was following that also talked about, that were like very popular vegan YouTube channels. A lot of them also have videos on their past eating disorders. Like these girls have eating disorders, and I've never had an eating disorder. Now I will say, as a kid I was chubby. My grandparents, like in Atlanta, visit my dad, I would always like gain weight because my grandmother liked to feed me, but by the time I got home to my mom, I would lose the weight, because like my mom, she didn't like really let me have snacks in the house because I would eat them out. Like she didn't buy snacks, she would just buy like the food we needed, and that was it. So I would always like fluctuate weight growing up or whatever, but I never had an eating disorder. Like usually like anytime the weight would come off, I wasn't doing it. Like I didn't even know how to lose or gain weight. I didn't even know that I was chubby or back. Like when I was a kid, I didn't know I was chubby because I was eating too many cookies. Like I didn't even know that. Like I wasn't conscious of that kind of stuff. So even then, at that time, by the time I turned pescatarian, I did try a little bit of dieting when I got in the gym or whatever, but I never was like unhealthy about it. I didn't even know how to think about it that way. But I will say, I think being on the vegan diet now for 5 years, you can get a little like eating disordery with it, if you, depending on who you watch. Like thank God I never got into like, I was not vegan, or I didn't know about Freely the Banana Girl. Like I found out about Freely the Banana Girl like years later, after everybody knew that her shit was dumb, like the high carb, low fat vegan. Like, oh, that's another thing, I've tried every vegan diet in the fucking book. I've tried every single vegan diet in the fucking book, right? I've tried high carb, low fat vegan. That's when you eat that's what Freely the Banana Girl was doing. YouTube her, search her up on YouTube, and you'll know who the fuck I'm talking about. That girl is fucking crazy. Literally, she would just only eat like bananas or some crazy shit. I never did no shit like that. I would just like focus on eating like a lot more grains, and like I cut back on like the peanut butter and avocado, but that was not good. Like you need healthy fats as a woman to make sure you're having a healthy menstrual cycle and all that stuff. But yeah, no, I never did anything like that. But I tried that. I tried whole food plant-based. I even tried to do vegan keto, but that did not last for me, because you can't really do that. Like a vegan diet is based mainly on grains and like carbs, so you can't really, like, I don't even think that's like possible unless like you're really fucking restricting yourself. Another thing I never did was raw vegan. I did try raw till 4, and I would do that some days. Not even try it, I would just implement it like intuitively sometimes. Like I would just like, depending on how, like if I was eating a smoothie and then I had a salad, and then by the time dinner came around I would eat like something cooked. So I've dabbled with that. I've dabbled with fasting like 2-3 years into my vegan diet. That's when I started dabbling with fasting, and I did complete successfully a 2-day fast, water fast one time. Never did that shit again. I did it once and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to do this like once a year. I never did that shit again. I wish I did have that willpower. Maybe I would one day, but yeah, I just feel like being vegan, it has you, like you end up trying a lot of weird diets. But I will say I also learned how to cook on a vegan diet. I learned how to cook a lot of food. Like I said, I grew up on an American diet. My mom never cooked, so when I went vegan, I was pretty much learning how to cook everything for the first time. So veganism is still like my staple in the way I cook and the way I think about foods. Like I'm still getting over that. I mean, like, yeah, like I really learned how to cook vegetables. And honestly, like even though I was vegan and like I was missing out on by the time I did my blood test about like a year ago now, and I found out I was deficient and I had a slightly hyperthyroid, which has never happened to me before. Like I was anemic and I had a slightly hyperactive thyroid. How is veganism like the most healthiest thing if I have these things? Like I never had a slightly hyperactive thyroid. Like I've never had health issues before, and I've had anemia growing up and it would kind of come back and go away. But again, if this is supposed to be the healthiest diet, why am I having health issues? Why am I always bloated? Why am I feeling more fatigued? Oh, that's another thing. As the years go on, I started feeling more fatigued. And then this recent past year, after starting my first 9 to 5, I'm at my second job, my first ever second job now out of college. But my first one was super stressful. And I felt like I was aging. Like another thing I learned, collagen. There's no collagen on a vegan diet. There's not like zinc on a vegan diet. You don't really get that much heme iron, and you can supplement, but again, bioavailability and another thing, the bioavailability in fruits and vegetables. They say that you can get everything you need from a vegan diet if you're doing it right. These new modified foods, nothing is the same from like how foods originally were like thousands of years ago. Food is not the same way it was even 50 years ago. The quality of our foods have gone down so much in like all aspects to where we can still eat and survive, but there's no way we're getting quality enough goods if we're going to the grocery store and buying these fruits and foods that travel hundreds and thousands of miles, that get pre-picked when they're not even ripe to sit pretty on the grocery shelves. Like that's not even vegan and natural and none of that. Like I don't know, it's like I was die hard about it like in the beginning. Like I wouldn't even buy leather, but then like 3 years in I gave that up and I was like, fuck it, well if it's secondhand I'll get it. Like I don't know, like the more I got into veganism, the more I did it, the more I just honestly started losing passion for it. I think I changed. The older I got, the more my like mentality changed. The more I learned about veganism, the more I learned about the truth of veganism, and the more I got into veganism, supplement count came up. Like at first it was just taking some B12, and then I started taking some zinc, and then I started taking some biotin, and then I was like, okay, I'm not getting EPA and I'm getting DHA, but I'm not getting any EPA. You can only get that from fish oil. Like I realized that's important in the diet. Like there's a lot of things that you need. And it's like there's just certain nutrients that you really can't get on a vegan diet, and those things lead to long-term health issues. They do, or for me at least. Maybe there are vegans who can thrive for years and years on end, but it really is just depending on the type of person you are. Like it changes case by case because everyone's different. And for me, I was able to last 5 years until I was able to like finally just say fuck it. Like I'm tired of feeling like shit. Like I don't even think I felt like shit because I've always been like a healthy person. Like throughout this whole time, I never stopped working out. I never stopped being active. I never stopped just trying my best to eat healthy. But I don't think that stopped any of the issues I was having with satiety, bloating. My bloating has only gotten worse and worse and worse. And now that I'm eating meat again, like it's been getting a little bit better. But like if I eat certain plant foods or if I eat a whole plant-based meal, I'm bloated after every single meal. Like it was coming to a point where it doesn't matter what I ate on a plant-based diet, I would be bloated. And I still eat a lot of plant-based meals too, just because like I've been doing that for 5 years and that's all I know. But I have been eating more eggs. I've been eating a lot more eggs. I eat burgers now, homemade. I eat a lot of salmon. I had some halibut the other. I don't know. I've been trying foods. Shit, my phone's on 10%, and the sky is going down. Yeah. But yeah, the more I got into it, like, it's a social aspect. It's like me changing as a person, and me just sick of like having to work so hard to fucking eat. Like, I honestly just want to take focus off food for a while. I learned so much from it. Like, I learned how to cook. I learned what vitamins are in what foods. Like, now I know like how to eat to sustain myself. So I'm grateful for veganism for that, and I'm grateful for the spiritual journey it took me on. But I had a lot of brain fog because I wasn't eating fish. Like, I had a lot of other symptoms. Like, I felt like I was out of it. I felt like my head was in the clouds. I was always hungry. I was bloated. Like, again, not every vegan has this story, but this shit didn't really start happening until like 3-4 years into it. So a long-term thing. Again, like, you can do the vegan diet for a week, a month, or whatever, but it's like once you start getting into it, that's when the health issues start popping up. I started watching a lot more YouTube videos on ex-vegans on why they were no longer vegan. I used to ignore them. I used to ignore a lot of signs of why veganism wasn't good for me or right for me. Like, I would see the YouTube videos talking about like, oh, warning veganism, but I was like, no, like, I would just ignore those people. And I was also very understanding of ex-vegans. Like, I never looked at people who were no longer vegan like weird anymore. Like, my dad, he was a vegetarian for years, like before I was born, and so was my mom. My mom was actually vegetarian, and she said when she was pregnant with me, that's when she actually started eating meat again. Funny enough, but I don't know. When she told me that, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh, I guess she just stopped doing it. But yeah, like, that's another thing too. Like, 2 big YouTubers, or like a few, like there's like 3 or 4 or 5 YouTubers that I was like following throughout the years who just completely stopped being vegan all of a sudden, from the same reasons. Like, all of them were saying, oh, I'm having dire health issues. Oh, another thing, acne breakout. Like, I'm still recovering. Here are like all the scars on my face from like recovering from acne, but I started getting really bad hormonal acne, and that's like all these symptoms that I've been having in those ex-vegan videos that I was watching. They were having all the same exact fucking symptoms.
Like, that shit is crazy. You can't tell me that shit is not crazy.
So I'm gonna continue my talks about veganism and all the shit I've been talking about in another video, and I think I'm gonna stop here. I think I have enough content. I really hope it makes it to YouTube and I don't look at all this shit later and think I hate it, but I'm gonna go. The sun's going down. And I've been talking a lot.